Hello student. In last video we study about syntax of defining a class. So now we study about field declaration. Okay. In field declaration, data is encapsulated in a class by placing data fields inside the body of the class definition. So here data is encapsulated means data encapsulation is nothing but a data hiding. So data is hidden inside a class which can access within the same class, and it can be accessed through the member functions or a member methods. So these datas or these variables are called as a instance variables because they are created whenever an object of a class is instantiated. So when you create an object, then in that time these variables are created, that is it's these variables memory is allocated when the objects are created. So example, class rectangle int length and width. Here in class rectangle contain two integers, they are called as instance variables. It is allowed to declare them in a single line also, that is int length comma width. These variables are only declared and therefore no storage space has created in the memory. So this is only declared, but memory is not created, because when objects are created, in that time only these variables are created. So why these variables are called as a instance variable? Instance means nothing but a object. So object variables or instance variables. Instance variables are also known as member variables. So member variables andru ಒಂದೇ, instance variables andru ಒಂದೇ. So object ಯಾವಾಗ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಆವಾಗ ಈ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಅಲೋಕೇಶನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ these variable does not have any memory until objects are instantiated. Okay, so next we study about method declaration. Method declaration means that is it is also a part of class. Inside a class we see both field and methods. Fields are nothing but a instance variables or a variables data members, and in second part is method declaration. So methods are nothing but a functions. So functions are defined inside a class itself. So these are main role methods in the under that they represents the behavior of a class, right? So here a class with only data fields has no life. So we having a class with only the data variables, there is no life, because variables within the class they can accessible, but outside the class variables are not accessible because they are hidden inside a class, that is data is encapsulated within the class, right? So we can't communicate with that class without using a methods. So methods play important role in the class. Okay, a class with only data fields has no life. The objects created by such a class cannot respond to any messages. So there is only data fields means when we create objects also we can't communicate with other objects or other classes, because there is no methods. There is no methods means we can't access variables of that class. Even though objects also cannot access that variable, we can access that variables means we want methods. Okay, so objects created, even though objects are created by such a class, cannot respond to any messages. Therefore adding methods that are necessary for manipulating the data contained in the class. So whatever we want to manipulate with that class means we should add member methods. Okay, methods are declared inside the body of the class. So methods ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಬಾಡಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಿ ಡಿಕ್ಲರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣವೇ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲರೇಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಬರಿತಾ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, in general form of a method declaration is type, method name, parameter list. So here methods na declare ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ syntax ಏನು, return type, method name that is function name, parameter list and body of the function, that is definition of the function, right? Similarly in Java also methods are nothing but a functions. So data type, that is return type, that is type, and method name is a identifier. You should use rules of the identifier. Alphabet in the shurvagbeku, that is it should be begin with alphabet, next successive letter alphabet or a digit. You should not use white spaces. You can use underscore. You should not use other special characters, and uppercase and lowercase are distinct. So these rules should be used when you are creating a method name. And parameter list, though, so you can send some values to that method, and within the braces you should write the instructions, that is body of the method. Body of the method, that is what that method is doing, that information is written inside the method. Okay, so method declaration have 4 basic parts. Okay, here the name of the method, that is method name, the type of the value, the method return, that is return type, what it may be int type, float type, character type, or double type, anything else, or it may be it is not returning anything, means we should write void. Then a list of parameters may be different type, it may int comma int or int comma float or anything else. There is a parameters or nothing, there is no parameters, means we can use opening and closing parenthesis. So parameters are within the parenthesis. Then the body of the method, that is what that method is doing, that instruction should be written inside a body of the method. Let us consider the rectangle class again and add the method data, get data to it. Okay, we having a class called rectangle. In that we having a instance variable length and width, which is integer type, and we having a get data function which having 2 arguments, int x comma int y. So this get data function or a method is what it doing, it initiate the length and width. So it is storing the data to the instance variables length and width. Okay, here get data ಅನ್ನೋ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಲೆಂತ್ ಮತ್ತು ವಿಡ್ತಿಗೆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ನ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವೈ ಆರ್ ದ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ವೈ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ. ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವೈ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅಸೈನ್ ಟು ಎ ಲೆಂತ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿಡ್ತ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಗೆಟ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಏನು, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ assigning the values for the instance variables. ಇಲ್ಲಿ instance variables ಯಾವು, length and width. Okay, note that the method has a return type. Here return type ಇದೆ ಮೆಥಡ್ಗೆ, that is void. Void means nothing, it does not return any value. This method have 2 integer parameters, which is x and y, which is assigned to the instance variables length and width. This get data method basically added to provide values to the instance variable. So this method is basically added to the provide the values for the instance variable or a objects variables length and width. Okay, so this is one example. Similarly we are having another example, that is to compute a area of a rectangle. We want to find a area of a rectangle. Then we write a class rectangle. So in that rectangle class we declare 2 variables, length and width, which is instance variable or a object variables, so or a data members. Next we write a get data functions, that is method declarations. So we taken 2 methods here, one is get data method and another is rect area method. Get data method will initiate the values for the instance variable. It will store the data to the instance variable length and width. So and then rect area will calculate the area of a rectangle and it returns calculated data. Okay, so here return type, method name, argument list and body of the function, that is the main syntax of the method declaration, right? So we see here 2 methods, one is get data method and another is rect area method. First method having no return type, so we put void, and it having a 2 arguments x and y. These 2 arguments are assigned to a instance variable length and width. So length having a x value and width having a y value. Okay, And another method called rectarea, which is having return type int type. So it is calculating some value and returning a value. So it is returning a integer value, so we put a type as int. Rect area is a identifier, which is a method name, and there is no arguments, there is no parameters, so opening and closing parenthesis. We should not put void inside that, okay, which is done in C language, but Java will not support that, so why parameter should be empty. Okay, you should not write any void inside the parenthesis. Okay, next, inside the rect area body, we are calculating area is equal to length into width. After calculating the area, that area is returned to the called statement. Okay, in the above code, a new method rect area computes area of a rectangle and returns the result. Since the result would be an integer, the return type of a method has been specified as int. Also, parameter list is empty. Okay, another example is defining a class for computing sum of two numbers. So we want to find a addition of two numbers using a classes. So class sum, we declare a class name as a sum. Okay, inside that we want three arguments a, b, c, because we want to calculate two addition of two numbers, so we need three variables a, b, c. Then we want methods, because that a, b, c should be communicate, means manipulation should be done, means we need member methods. So void input function takes data to the instance variables, that is in input function we are declaring a data 10 to a and 20 for b. Okay, then another function which will calculate addition of two numbers, that is add function, which is also having return type void and there is no arguments. C is equal to a plus b, that is calculation part. And we having another function called display. In display function, we display all a, b, c values. So here in Java, we want to display a statement, means we need println function, which is in system class. So in Java, whatever we are using, means they are in the class itself. So we having a system class which is built-in class. In that class we having a println function. Through that println function we can print a particular statement into the output window. So each function is called, means through object itself. So we having a built-in object called out. So system.out.println, through that we are printing a statement value of a is equal to plus a. Here value of a equals, it is a string which is in double quotes, plus, which is nothing but a concatenation. A means that is value name, that is variable value. So variable a value should be printed to the output window. So a should be in outside the double quotes, because a is a variable, so it should not inside a double quotes, which is not a string. So we return value of a equals plus a. So similarly we want to print b value of b equals plus b, and similarly we want to print sum of a and b equals c value. Okay, so like this we can calculate addition of two numbers using classes. Okay, whenever we define a class, there is no memory space for data members of a class. Memory space will be created for the data members of a class when we create an object. So this is done, means the example is shown for a class, but memory is still not created because objects are not created. When objects are created, then this class gets a memory and it will work on that. Otherwise this is only declaration, but it is not manipulating because there is no objects to communicate with that class. So in other words, if we want to enter the values for the data members of a class, then first we have to create a memory space by creating an object with respect of that class. Okay, without object creation, data processing of a Java application is not possible. ಸೊ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಬರ್ದಿರೋ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಮ್ಯಾನಿಪುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವಾಗ ನೀವು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ನ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರೋ ಆವಾಗ ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಅಂಥ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆ ನಾವು ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಅಂಥ ABC ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಅಲೋಕೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಆ್ಯಡ್, ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಜೊತೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ನ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳೇಬೇಕು. ವಿತೌಟ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಾಟಾ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆ ನಾವು ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನಾವು ಯು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು, then how to create fields and how to create a member methods, and what are the rules, that you study that. After next class we study about how to create a object and how we communicate with other objects, and how these class is work. About that we study in the next class. Thank you.